everybody, Matt Maran here for another Mustang Monday video. So, I just wanted to give a little follow-up on the Bullitt ordering video that I posted a couple of weeks ago. I first want to thank you guys for all your support. It is very exciting, to have the Bullitt ordered. I still don't have any kind of update on the order since 2 weeks ago, but of course they're not going to even be scheduling Bullitt builds, I think, until towards the end of this month, and they're not actually going to be starting to build them until probably still sometime in late May, early June or something like that. So a little ways off still. But I do want to answer a common question or comment that a lot of people had on the post about ordering the Bullitt, and a lot of people said, why are you getting it over a GT350? A lot of people, even within the Mustang community, are cross-shopping the two, and obviously for me, I absolutely love the Bullitt. I'm obsessed with Bullitt. I want a dark Highland green Mustang only with retro cues that is a clear throwback to the Bullitt. That is what I want, and so the GT350 never even entered my thinking, or was never even considered, honestly. But there are a lot of good reasons as to why I think it'll personally fit me better than a GT350. Now, before I go into all the things I don't like about the GT350, there is a lot of stuff that I do love about the GT350. I mean, it was one of the most extreme reactions to date still that I've ever had doing an acceleration in a car. It's an absolute blast with the high red line, the wonderful sounds, the great looks, the very, very competent handling. It's all very impressive. But, a lot of people that are suggesting, why don't you get a GT350? That of course would mean that I would have to get a used one. That's the first point here that means they're not really comparable cars still. Whenever you look at, of course, the Bullitt has tons of newer tech that you can't even get in the Shelby, which I'll mention more in a second. But even just a 2018 GT350, if I wanted it with the convenience package and the options that I would want on it, it would still be 62 grand brand new. That's 11,000 more than I'm spending on my almost fully loaded Bullitt. So that's still, a huge gap for a car that has less equipment, less tech. It's just kind of, really expensive. So if I were to get a GT350, hypothetically, it would have to be a used one. And again, looking at a convenience package GT350 for 51 grand, you're looking at a 2 or 3 year old car. So at that point, you're at a car that almost is out of its general warranty of 3 years, 36,000 miles. So it'd be basically almost out of warranty. It would still be an old car that I'm buying secondhand, and versus a brand new cutting edge 2019 one with the newest looks, the newest headlights and taillights, all that type of stuff, which have really grown on me. But there's also a lot of new features here that they've added for 2019 specifically, and also for 2018s with the Mustangs, that I'm really looking forward to, that again you don't get in the GT350. For example, the GT350 only has a 2-mode dual exhaust, and it's still cool that it's dual mode, but you get 4 modes in the 2018 and up, including the Bullitt exhaust. There's quiet, there's normal, there's sport, and there's track. And when you listen to the different modes, there is a nice difference between all 4, and I think that I would want to use each mode at different times, and so I really like having that customization. That's just one example. A few of the other features you don't get in the Shelby that you do get in the Bullitt and all 2019 Mustangs are like the rev match downshifts, the B&O Play system is available. In the Shelby you can't even get an upgraded stereo. It's just the standard 9-speaker stereo. You can't get a subwoofer in the trunk, and I know a lot of people don't care about all that stuff, and a lot of Shelby fans just want an engine strapped to a rear-wheel drive chassis, and that's all they care about. They don't need any kind of toys. But I personally road trip a lot. I drive my car a lot of miles. It's not just a weekend car or some garage queen. It's something that I live with, and so I want to have all the nice tech, and you just don't get a lot of that stuff in the GT350. A couple other less important things that you don't get in the Shelby, like you don't get the digital gauges, you don't get a full leather interior. It's just the Alcantara inserts in the Shelby, which I had Alcantara inserts in my BRZ, and I don't like Alcantara a whole lot, and so having the full leather seats in the Bullitt is another thing that I prefer over the Shelby. You also can't get blind spot monitoring, the rear cross traffic alert in the Shelby, which is another thing that I do enjoy. Now that one again isn't a big deal, but just another thing that again, the Shelby's still a very kind of bare bones vehicle. I mean, it is based on the GT Premium once you do get the convenience package on it, but it's still well. Just you can't get a lot of these option packages and niceties that you do get here with the regular Mustangs, especially the 2019 ones. And the last little change for 2018 and 2019 here that most people might not even realize, because it was mentioned very briefly, but I believe Ford did say that they improved the small overlap crash protection in the front with the 2018 refresh. And again, most people probably don't care, but after being hit twice in my Mustang, once by a motorcyclist and once by a tree, I highly value a very safe vehicle. And so if the 2018 and 2019s are a little safer, and therefore the Bullitt is a little safer and a little more beefed up structurally than the Shelby, then that is just another cherry on top for me. Now, even if you don't care about all the tech, another big difference with the Shelby that personally I think makes it not the greatest street car is just how high the limits are. The Shelby is just so capable, which is commendable, and it makes it the better car by far. There's no question about it. The Shelby is the better performing vehicle over the Bullitt, I think, even though obviously I haven't driven a Bullitt. No one has outside of Ford, but it's just, the fact is it's just got way more mechanical grip, the higher red line, more horsepower, more torque, all that type of stuff. But those higher limits mean it's harder to enjoy on the streets. You have 305 wide tires in the rear, 295s up front, which means you have tons and tons of front grip, whereas the Bullitt only has 255s up front, 275s in the rear. So guess what? That means the Bullitt is going to be more tail happy and have lower limits, which to me makes it more fun in a daily driver. If you've watched me since the BRZ videos, I love kicking the back end out every once in a while whenever it's safe and responsible to do so. And so that's something that, try drifting a Shelby. It's really, really hard, and it's not a good idea, really, because when that car breaks grip, which takes a lot, you're probably beyond the point of return, unless again you're on an autocross course or something. So it just, again, those lower limits make it fun, and just also that goes into the cost of ownership with the Shelby, because you have these super wide tires, these bigger brakes than you get on the Bullitt. All that stuff's expensive to replace. Tires that are way more expensive, way wider, all that type of stuff. It makes it a little more expensive. Another thing as far as the drivability goes is, the gear ratios in the Shelby are also taller. So trying to enjoy that high red line is tough. That's one thing a lot of people don't realize is even just trying to red line second gear in a GT350, you're already doing 79 miles per hour just topping out second gear. So you do a red line pull, first gear, second gear, you're already over most speed limits in the country. A second gear red line pull takes you over highway speed limits. So, again, it's very fun, it's awesome, it's amazing whenever you can properly enjoy it. And if it was a car I was going to track every weekend, I would almost certainly go for the Shelby. I think it's a better track car for sure, and I think that's where it's best enjoyed because of the higher limits and the high red line and stuff. Now, they did make the gearing taller for the 2018 Mustang GTs as well, and that'll of course go over to the Bullitt. So it is a little bit taller. It isn't a huge difference. I think second gear red lines in the new Mustangs around like 73 or 74. So not a huge difference, but a difference nonetheless. But anyway, that's basically all my little thoughts here on the differences between the Shelby and the Bullitt and why I'm not getting the Shelby. Hopefully it makes a little more sense now to those of you that might be cross-shopping. Maybe this was helpful. But anyway, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.